Okay, we're here for our latest edition of the TradiePad Tech Talk, and we're in a bit of a different location this month.
Most definitely.
We're in the boardroom today.
We are in the
We're here
boardroom.
with Joanne McCauley from TradieWAGs and
TradieWAGs,
Jigsaw Tax.
Mhm.
So we're going to find out a little bit more about Joanne very, very soon. But I need to talk about where we are. So it's a bit of a unique location. Normally I'm running these tech talks in the comfort of my little office. That's nice and controlled. Oh, it's nice and controlled and nice and quiet. But today we're in a bit of a unique location in the boardroom at Xerocon.
Yep, Xerocon.
Xerocon. So
the Coachella for accountants is what we've been told.
Coachella for accountants and Coachella for bookkeepers.
Yes, and
you don't want to exclude.
No, definitely not.
So Coachella for accountants and bookkeepers. And behind us we've got a whole wall full of skateboards. And on the other side of that wall, we've got a vert ramp. So since when do the accounting conferences have vert ramps?
First time I've ever seen it, I must say. And even last night, sharing some of my photos on social media, I had like my son ringing up saying, "Are you sure you're at an accounting conference?" And yeah, it's just so over the top and awesome.
I love Xerocon. Yeah. So this is my seventh Xerocon.
Okay. Yeah. It's my third.
Right. And it's just getting better and better and better. Yeah. So every year there's something new. Last year we had the ball pit.
Yes.
That was massive. It was like a Miami swimming pool with all the deck chairs. But this year they've raised the bar again. And yeah, we've got this cool stuff going on. Have a bit of a walk around and show everybody what we've got here. But it's phenomenal. Yeah. I say to people, I'm going to an accounting conference. And they go, oh yeah, that'll be great. That'll be exciting. But man, it is unreal.
It is, and you come back so inspired. I think I know I always do, but you know, the people who speak are really top quality, and it's fun, and it gets your mind really going.
It does. And yesterday there was a session with Nigel Laffer. Did you see Nigel's
That was so
session?
funny.
He was hilarious.
I've never heard the F word said so many times in a professional context.
Hang on, do you work with tradies?
Well, yeah, in a professional context. I have heard the F word said many times, but I think they counted 38 in his talk, which was, it was awesome though.
He was a champion, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about yourself, tell me a little bit about TradieWAGs and your background.
Okay, so I'm an accountant. I started in accounting about around the year 2000. I actually came from a finance background, so sort of always thought accounting was a bit not really what I wanted to do, but it was just unfortunately the skill that I was best at. And I sort of moved into the tax world in around 2002. I bought my own practice in 2008, so that's Jigsaw Tax and Advisory. We operate out of Goulburn in regional New South Wales, but we also have offices in Canberra and Winston Hills in Sydney.
Nice. Good spread.
We do. We also have people working for us in Albury and Wollongong, so we kind of are taking over that whole south area, but we're definitely not limited to that.
It's the beauty of the cloud, isn't it?
The beauty of the cloud, and we are a very cloud-based accounting firm. We did embrace it for that whole purpose because we have so many people working in so many different locations, and and so like traditional accounting firm, you know, do your tax, we do your accounts. We definitely try to help with the advisory side and have been moving into that space a lot more. And I guess a little bit frustrated by working with tradies a lot and having tradies in my family.
Yes.
I just kind of was like, I just want to teach them how to do the things better. It's just so frustrating.
Sounds like me.
Sounds like you. And one day I was just like, kept thinking, how am I going to do this? And it just came to me, it's not the tradies I should be aiming at. It's probably their wives and girlfriends who are the ones who are often doing the work. So in November last year, I kind of put it out there in the world and just mentioned it to a friend of mine, and she mentioned it to Koshi, and next thing I launched on Channel 7 Sunrise at the Weather Cross.
It's not a bad launch.
No, it was really exciting, but it did mean that I had like literally 4 weeks to put the whole thing together. And since then, I've just been working away at it. It's still very much a work in progress, but it is just really meant to be an environment for the wives and girlfriends or whoever, definitely not excluding anyone from visiting my website, to get content that's written in a fairly simple, easy to understand form, and quick to read, written a little bit girly, so, you know, it's a little bit of fun because accounting's pretty boring.
Oh, come on. Look at this.
Although you wouldn't think so with Xerocon. And yeah, that's what it's all about. So we have a weekly newsletter. I know you subscribe to my newsletter. Cool. Yeah. And we're just sort of mixing it around with a bit of content, trying to, you know, do a bit of video, a bit of writing. And some of the stuff's quite personal. Like I actually write about my own experiences in business because I know people suffer out there. And I know I've had times when I've just, like, you know, it's just awful being a business owner. And I think if you share stories and people see that accountants can also have problems, it makes it feel a little bit real.
It's not all sunshine and lollipops.
Yeah, exactly. So
unless you're at an accounting conference.
Well, that's right. It's sunshine and lollipops today, but normally, this is like a real nice break for us accountants to get out here and have a bit of fun with what we do. So,
and I think it's an important thing in business to have those breaks away and take the time to not so much recharge, but spend time working.
That's right.
It's a bit of a cliche, but working on the business.
Well, that's it, and we all know we should do that.
Yeah.
The demands are just so high, you know, like we're just, you know, at the end of the very start of tax time, and it's just been incredibly demanding for us. And I know tradies have the same, you know, it's probably coming up to Christmas is when they're often getting a lot of, you know, it's got to be done by Christmas.
It's just about to start, the Christmas rush.
And then suddenly you're being torn all these different ways, and the idea of actually working on your business is just so hard. And so, you know, often that stuff is neglected, and, you know, I guess just trying to give people a bit of an idea of what you should be doing this week, you know, what's due for lodgement, you know, do you understand the difference between a contractor and an employee, and, you know, just little things like...
Very important things, though.
Yeah, they are. And we also obviously love Xero, so we do some Xero training as well. So at the moment I'm doing one-on-one Xero training, which we do over a Zoom meeting, over 4 or 5 Zoom meetings, depending on how long it takes. But I'm actually in the process of developing an online course that people will be able to do at a fairly cheap price point, but also still being able to ask me questions, which I think is going to be a better option, in all honesty, because you can fit it into your own time frame.
Absolutely. Learning on demand. Very popular. And I think that whole piece about education is so important these days. I think the way that software is pitched quite often, it's pitched as though, it's really easy, you do it yourself. And it is, there's still, it's really important to know what you're doing, because you can make a big old mess easily. So that education piece is the same as what we would do with TradiePad. It's sure you can go and set it up yourself if you've got the time and you've got the experience and the knowledge and the inclination to do it, but getting some help with a bit of learning, a bit of guidance and a bit of kind of best practices on the way to do things can just make it so much easier. But also make your data so much more valuable and clear, and you can actually, you know, get the reports and stuff. That you need.
And look, even when I was writing my training program for Xero, I learned stuff, and I use it all the time. And
well, that's why we're here, isn't it? We're learning about the new things with Xero.
Yesterday and today, like they're always developing new things. So you know,
it's the nature of the beast with this cloud-based software, isn't it?
Really got to keep up to date with it, and so, you know, there'll probably be some features that I'll be talking about in the next few weeks that we've learnt about today. You know, to explain that to everyone. So,
a bit of professional development.
A bit of professional.
What's the biggest struggle that you see in the tradie businesses that you're involved with?
Look, I think it's cash flow is obviously a big problem for lots of businesses, not just tradie businesses. Tradies actually, you know, it's interesting. I've got some tradies I work with who never have cash flow problems. They work for people who do pay regularly, and, you know, lucky them. That's all I can say. But there are others who just aren't quite so lucky. And I think in general, tradies tend to not see bookwork as an important aspect. So they may be a little bit neglectful at sending out their invoices in the first place. And that's where apps like, you know, that you guys recommend, like, you know, ServiceMate, Tradify, all those sorts of things, where they can actually send the invoices out on the spot and collect payments quicker, obviously is going to have a major impact. But the other thing I think for tradies is they're not really good at budgeting. So
what is
budgeting? And look, you know, I can sometimes be not so good at budgeting myself, but you know, they go to the pub on Friday afternoon and, you know, got a few $100 in their pocket, and they have a bit of fun with it, and then suddenly there's a BAS calling or superannuation that needs to be paid. And
so how can we fix that?
That's $1 million question.
It's just that knowledge, isn't it?
I think it's just, the knowledge. I mean, we've been working a lot with budgeting with our clients, and we've got some great programs that we can use.
Yep.
But to be able to use them, you have to have the information in there first.
Absolutely.
And so there's for some of my clients who aren't tradies, it's perfect. The information's flowing in. I can do a really nice budget. We can monitor it on a regular basis. But to get to that point, a lot of my tradies need to probably do about 5 steps beforehand.
Right.
One of them is actually, getting onto software of some sort. So, we've still got people who handwrite their invoices and then give us a bunch of, receipts at the end of the quarter to do their BAS.
Which doesn't cut it these days, does it?
And despite us trying to constantly educate them and move them on, people have a bit of a fear of technology, and I guess it's just pushing that story. Get out there, do it. I'm a big one for habits, and I think once they get onto some software, and then they can get into the habit of associating doing their bank rec, for example, with something else that they do. Whether it be yesterday they're talking about everyone goes to the toilet and the first thing they do is take their phone and check their Instagram. Maybe before they do that, they should do their bank rec. And you know what? Maybe that would work. I usually say with your first morning coffee, but maybe it's that toilet time.
Whatever works.
Might be better for the tradies.
Yeah.
So, but I think if you get into the habit, it's not such a daunting thing if you do it every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Little bits.
These tiny little bites, and you're really up to date, and and that just makes it easier. If you then know when you're going to have problems, when it's going to tip over, and you can start to put the money away, it's so much better.
Because that's the information, isn't it? That's the data, the quality of the data that's coming through.
Yeah. I also think that there's a very lack of understanding for tradies the difference between GST, PAYG, withholding tax, and I can't believe that they're always surprised that they've got to pay money once a quarter. It's like,
it doesn't go away.
How can I possibly have to pay this? Well, you know what? You're in business to make money, and if you make money, you're going to pay tax.
Yes.
And GST,
if you're paying tax, it means you're winning.
And GST is actually never your money in the first place. There's money that you added on, but so there's heaps of little challenges that I find, but I find that probably the management and the cash flow is the biggest one, and if we could solve that problem, and I know that's something Xero are really looking at doing, and I know there's lots of apps out there that are going to help with that, but
it comes back to the business practices though, doesn't it? Like you were saying, invoicing, getting the invoices out. The number of people that we talk to where they say, I just hate doing the admin, I hate doing the invoicing. That's the blood of the business.
It should be your favourite thing.
But I understand it as well, because if it's a chore and it's really laborious and hard to do, and you're not going to prioritise it.
No.
So the tools and the technology that we've got nowadays can make it a lot easier than it used to be.
Most definitely.
And sometimes even being prepared to change workflows within the business has massive dividends.
Yeah.
But why do you think it's important for tradies to embrace technology?
Look, well, first of all, you have to.
Yeah.
Okay, so single touch payroll came in this year. If you don't have any staff, well, you're probably lucky, but if you have staff, you have to be on a platform of some sort.
Yeah.
And so it's the perfect catalyst to get you onto something.
Yeah.
But we find that when you do get someone onto a platform and then you start to educate them of what they're doing, it's like, oh, is it so easy to do this? Why haven't I done this before? So tradies are out on the road. They need technology because they're not sitting at a desk all day. Yeah. They need to be able to take a photo of their receipts as they buy their petrol so that they don't lose it. They need to know where their job's up to. They need to know where their contractors or their staff are up to with jobs. They need to know if things are blowing out, if they've quoted right. They really...
Data reporting.
There's so much that technology can do for them. And yet, sometimes it's just... I'm a plumber. I just want to fix something.
I don't worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
Head in the sand.
So
it doesn't look like that these days.
Exactly. And I also wonder if they're not using technology, how much they're missing out on.
Yeah, absolutely.
have you billed properly? Because you may not have known whether your time is what you actually think it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are your staff doing what they're supposed to be doing?
Absolutely. So accountability, visibility.
Yeah. So there's so many advantages to it. You know, and it's available, and it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
it's not as hard as you think.
Yeah.
And it's just getting started.
I think sometimes people get a little bit scared at the pricing, and they go, you know, it's so much a month.
Yeah.
And you go, have a think about how much time it's saving you, and then equate that at your hourly charge out rate. And you'll probably go, actually, that's really cheap.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about return on investment.
Exactly.
Any purchases in a business.
Yeah.
So what's one bit of software that you couldn't live without?
For me personally, it's Xero. Like, I love it. Xero is the basis of everything we do.
Yep.
So even within our practice, we're accountants, we use apps all the time.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily a service mate or a trade or fire or anything like that, but we use apps to run our practice, and they all connect nicely to Xero. So if we didn't have that as our platform, I don't know how everything would work. There's some fabulous apps out there. I really like the new payment apps that are coming out to try and get people to pay quicker.
Comes back to cash flow, doesn't it?
Comes back to cash flow. And they're so simple.
Yeah.
Like
a massive impact on the business. Being able to take that payment on the spot.
That's right. And
huge.
So I know I've used Go Cardless and I've used Pinch, and both of those are really so. As a person who's putting their details in, it's so easy. Yeah. It's not like you've got to do anything really tricky. You just type in your details, and the next thing the money's going to come out of your account.
Bing.
Yeah. So if it's easy for me to do that, it means it's easy for your client to do it, which is great. I think the other one we're about to roll out to everyone is HubDoc. So we're actually going to roll it out to all of our clients who are using Xero for 1 year for free. So HubDoc is a capture of your invoice the invoices coming into you that you have to pay.
Yep. So receipts and bills.
Yeah.
And so the fuel dockets you're talking about
exactly.
before. Yeah.
So it does all of that very easily for you. So whether it be that you take a photo with your phone of the receipt, or whether you send the email versions of your PDFs in or scan them in, it actually captures all the data really easily. And I think
no data entry.
Well, no data entry.
Oh, I love it.
And smart. It gets smart. Like AI, they're learning what your invoices are about, so you don't even have to think about it anymore.
Wow.
For us, we think this is going to be a real game changer, because for us to give proper advisory services and proper budgeting and cash flow services, you need to know not just what you're getting in, you need to know what's going out. And I think that step's often missing in small business, because they go,
100%.
oh, I know that I've got to pay my Telstra bill next week, but your system doesn't know that.
Yeah.
And they're not really factoring that in. So I think the ability to be able to see what else you have out there is going to be a real game changer. So that's why we're going to be loving HubDoc very soon.
Awesome. That's a good tool.
Yeah.
Good tool. Good tool for you. Good tool for the client.
That's
a win-win.
Right. I mean, there are other tools out there that do similar things. So it's just we've decided to go with HubDoc, because it is a Xero product now.
Nice work. Yeah. Good job, Xero.
Yeah.
Bringing them on board. So we've got the music that's been turned up. They're starting to ride skateboards in the background.
So.
And there's a whole bunch of people lined up over there waiting to start painting these skateboards.
Yes.
So the boardroom is actually an artist studio.
It is.
And it's about to get very, very busy. So we've got to wind it up.
We might have to wind this up.
Thank you, Joanne.
That's okay.
We're up for a very busy day again today. Thank you for your time this morning.
No problem.
I hope you have an awesome day.
I'm sure I will. You too. Thanks.